Good morning everybody and welcome to another story time. Got a story here by the same woman and illustrator who wrote The Gruffalo, and it's called The Snail and the Whale. Now before I start reading the story, don't forget that we're now opening the meadows up for small groups of people to come in and see us. If you go onto our Facebook page, you can find the numbers there, ring up Donna and Lena and book in to come and see us, and that will be great to see you all back in the centre. Unfortunately we've got to restrict the numbers, so we can only take bookings only, so you need to book in advance and you just can't turn up, okay? So get on the Facebook page and book yourself in. Okay, let's do the story, The Snail and the Whale by Julia Donaldson. Okay. This is a tale of a tiny snail and a great big grey blue humpbacked whale. This is the rock as black as soot, and this is a small snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. As he gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny snail. So look, it's looking out to sea, and there's all the docks and the boats, and you can see into the distance the boats out into the sea. And look, there he is. There she is on the big black rock. And look, there's lots of seagulls flying around as well. These are the other snails in the flock, who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wriggle, sit still, stay put." But the tiny sea snail sighed and sniffed, then cried, "I've got it, I'll hitch a lift." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a slivery tail that looped and curled and said, "Lift wanted around the world." So look, the snail's come off the rock, round to the back of the rock. There's the trail that the snail leaves, and look, the snail is written with all the slime, "Lift wanted around the world." This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright. A humpback whale immensely long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out of the starlit sea and said to the snail, "Come with me." So the snail is going on the humpback whale's tail. This is the sea, so wild and free, that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to the towering icebergs and far off lands. Look at all these icebergs, and there's some seals, and we've got some penguins. So I think they must be in the Arctic Ocean. With fairy mountains and golden sands. Look, they look as if they're on a nice sunny desert island. And look, we've got a parrot, and we've got a turtle and a monkey up the tree, and that looks like a volcano. And look, there is the snail on the whale. And look, he's looking at the scenery, he's looking at the beautiful island. These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed. The tiny snail on the tail of the whale. These are the caves beneath the waves, where stripy fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam round the whale and a snail on his tail. So look, there's an octopus as well. Look at all those beautiful fish, and look, there's some sharks with sharp teeth. I hope the shark doesn't bite the snail. And look, there's the snail looking. This is the sky, so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with thunderstorms, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. Can you see, look, it looks like a storm is brewing. And the snail is still clinging on to the whale. And she gazed at the sky, at the sea and the land, the waves, the caves and the golden sand. She gazed and gazed, amazed by it all, and she said to the whale, I feel so small. And there's a little bear there and there's an eagle flying up. So the whale is taking the snail all around the world. But then came the day the whale lost his way. These are speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-sputtering roar, making him swim too close to the shore. So all these speedboats, they've made the whale go in to the beach. This is the tide slipping away. And this is the whale lying beached in a bay. Quick, off the sand, back to the sea, cried the snail. I can't move on land, I'm too big, moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then I've got it, she cried, and started to crawl. I must not fail, said the tiny snail. And look, the poor old whale can't get back into the water. I think the snail might be going to get some help. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, sit straight, don't talk. This is the board as black as soot. And this is the snail with the itchy foot. A snail, a snail! The teacher turns pale. Look, said the children, it's leaving a trail. This is the trail of the tiny snail and a slippery trail saying, save the whale. So look, the snail has gone into the classroom and has left a slippery, slimy trail on the board saying, save the whale. These are the children running from school, fetching the fireman, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. And look, the firemen are up there squirting water, and look, the children are digging a hole to let some water go underneath the whale. So look, they're all helping to get the whale out. This is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting hooray as the whale and the snail travelled safely away. And look, they're back in the water, and there is the snail back on his tail, and there's everybody cheering and shouting hooray because they've saved the whale. Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said, how time's flown, and haven't you grown? So he's back on his rock, and the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice and coral caves, and shooting stars and enormous waves, and how the snail, so small and frail, with a looping, curling, silvery trail, saved the life of the humpback whale. Then the humpback whale held out his tail, and on crawled snail after snail. So look, they've told them all the stories about where they've been, and look, all the snails are crawling up onto the tail. And there they are, all of them on, and I think they're going on an adventure. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the grey blue humpbacked whale. And I I think they're going out to sea again. And that is the story of the snail and the whale. Hope you enjoyed that, because I enjoyed reading that story. That is a really great story. So anyway, it's bye from me for now, and hopefully we will see you very soon.